Hello, everybody. It's Professor Cruz again, and I want to welcome you to week four. This week is kind of a big week. We are finishing up our critical thinking application process, and we're also doing our midterm arguments this week. So I'm going to talk about both of those in this video here and try to kind of work you through what the expectations are and how we're going to go about, doing these assignments. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we will, kind of work through what we're doing this week for you to kind of make it a little less stressful for you guys. Because I know with the midterm, there might be, some worry or concern going on, but really, I want you guys to realize this. I don't think it's that big of a deal. So, like, as long as we kind of know what we're expected, I think it'll be okay. Um, you may notice that in the course calendar, there wasn't anything telling you that midterm was coming up. If you've been looking at this part, we have it here listed on the regular course calendar, obviously under week four. But where are we at? Week four, it just talks about the midterm. But here, if you're watching through this one, there wasn't anything coming up because it's not visible right now. It's not visible because it's based on a timeline. So what I did is I went ahead and added a calendar event today that shows that the midterm discussion board will open at that's supposed to be AM. I'll edit that. That opens at 12 a.m. Like technically Thursday night, Friday morning, and then you have all day Friday to make your post. So I put that on there so it'll be on the calendar for you to see, and that way it'll kind of keep it in mind. Okay. And then we'll talk about, I'll show you what the discussion board looks like again. I had it in last week's video, but I want to show it again for the repetition. Okay. So what you're doing this week, what we've done in the previous two assignments, you've applied act utilitarianism and you've applied Kant deontology, and you should have two different choices of what these ethical theories are telling you to do, because they should be different. Because one should be like, how do I make the most people happy? Even if it means the decision maker has to do something that's not great for them. And then the other one is, how do I do something universal and that's not exploitation and for anybody? And then what you're going to do is you're going to compare those and pick one this week. And so that's what this week's assignment is. So when you go to course content and we go to module 7, now there's no quiz or anything for this module because it just rehashes like chapter 4, the critical thinking process. So when you go in here, you'll see the assignment, and it has a discussion board because you guys are going to comment on each other's posts. So like, essentially, once you create your assignment, put it into the Dropbox in full APA standard. I want to make sure you guys are following that because it says that in the instructions. So I have it, some people are putting it in the Dropbox without title pages and reference pages and all that. When you put it into the Dropbox for grading, put it in like it's a real live paper, right? And then here on the discussion board, you can just copy and paste the text of it, okay? So what you're going to do, you're going to come here and you're going to want to download this sample format like you've been doing, okay? And I'll throw it over here so we can see it, okay? So you get the same thing, just fill in your name and the proper date. And then you're going to do this here and you're going to state, remember in the last 3 assignments, we've been stating a question. What should Bob do? Or most of you have, picked the transportation authority, which is good, I think, because that's or security administration, whatever it is, TSA, because I think it's logical for this assignment, right? So we've been asking, should the TSA do this, or what should the TSA do about that? Now we're going to make the statement. The TSA should, boom, right? And you're going to write that out here in one sentence, bold, okay? Just tell me what, they should do. A lot of people have been putting Bob, and I've said it before, Bob is a placeholder. There is no Bob. You can't just make up a Bob for your guys's things. So let's make sure we get it right by this last one, and we're continually like trying to like tweak our process and get it right. So you're going to say what they should do. Then in a paragraph of around 150 words, you're gonna say what the wisest, most ethical option is that you came up with in act utilitarianism and applying conscientology and justify your decision. Now, what I'm not asking you to do, I am not asking you to pick one answer and say how both theories agree, because they don't and they shouldn't. If they do, it was an accident. It happens sometimes coincidentally, but it's not the goal. One is literally, how do I make the most people happy, even if it comes at someone's expense? And the other is, I can't use people as an expense to happiness. You know what I mean? So, like, even though Kant doesn't use the word happiness. So, again, I'm trying to stress with you, it's not about making them agree. Okay. Both of your issues, your options, if you've ran them through your theories correctly, are both correct and are both ethical. You now have to pick one that you think should be done. And this is the nature of this course. I mean, you've got 8 different theories, right, that you have to work with, and each of them could come to a different conclusion, and that's okay. It's just you used an ethical process to get there, and sometimes there's more than one way to get to a good answer, and that's just all we're talking about here, right? Okay. So now, once you presented the option and wrote a paragraph about why this is the best option, you're then going to list 3 objections. So, like, if you think about my Bob example of the divorce, if I say Bob should, if I go with the Kantian option and say Bob should ask his, wife to marriage counseling, I'm going to think of like, what are 3 things that somebody could say against that decision? So somebody should say, well, Bob should divorce his wife because he cheated on her and that broke the marriage vows or whatever. And then in my counter argument, 3 to 4 sentences, I'm going to say what I would counter their objection with. So I'd be like, well, some people might say Bob should go ahead and get a divorce. A Kantian would first try to resolve the issue by getting some help from a counselor, because getting help is universal. Nobody gets exploited by going to counseling. Maybe in the end, the outcome is still that they get divorced, but it still shows good intent that he tried to work things through before just jumping into the dissolution of the marriage or what, something like that. And then you do that for 2 other, objections. So you just think, what are 3 things that could be said against my decision? And it's not just popping the other options here. Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes and think, what would somebody say who disagreed with me, and then what can I say to them? This is about preparing for the counter arguments that you're going to see on the street, kind of thing. And then in the reflection, in one good paragraph, you're going to reflect on the process, not the case. Reflect on the process. Tell me what you learned about the process. If you like it, would you use it again? Talk about where you made mistakes. Talk about things you did well. If you missed some of the assignments, talk about why, whatever. On some of the feedback I gave you guys on your module 2 is the reflection. A lot of people, or I'm sorry, module 3, on the reflection, a lot of people weren't making it personal. A reflection is about you and your experience. So it shouldn't be general, like when one does this, they do that, or like when you do this. Because you don't want to say you, because then your reflection becomes about speaking to me as the reader. You want to talk about you and your experience with this thing and make it personal, bring it into your universe and your world, and show me what it means to you. I like reflections. I know reflections kind of get blown off sometimes at the end because we just think, oh, we've done the good work, and now we're just going to reflect. But I think reflection is one of the best tools you have as a student to measure your growth and see what you got from something and think about what you could do next time. So I really look for you guys to put a lot of effort into the reflection. So keep that in mind, okay? Now, if you go and you look at the assignment instructions, basically what I've said is what's in here, okay? So I want you to use these as part of the instructions, and then I want you to follow the instructions the best you can. Okay, and then so when you've got that done, here's all the expectations. And again, it kind of just mirrors what's in that assignment. Follow your checklist. Make sure you've got all these things done before you turn it in. One of the things I'm seeing too is a lot of people are, messing with their font sizes and styles and all that. Just keep it Times New Roman, 12-point font, right? You're going to want to put a reference page because I'm expecting to see citations in that discussion section. Like in this part up here where you make your decision, I'd like to see some stuff from the theory that justifies like your thing. So like, well, Kant says blah blah, according to Manson Monroe 2022, Kant says da da da, and then like that follows in this option da da da, or like Jeremy Bentham says net utility blah blah blah, and we see that here. I'd like to see some stuff, but if you borrow it from it, make sure you cite it, okay? And then when that's done, you open the discussion board, you copy it, and you paste it on. And I think we've been doing pretty good with that. Everybody's been making sure that they get it submitted in both places, and I want to thank you for that and say good job on that, because sometimes people get confused and they'll put it in one and not the other. But as a whole, you guys have been doing a good job with making sure that you're getting it in both places on time. What we want to make sure though is that you go back before what would that be, Sunday, right? Yeah, so this opens Thursday, and then by Sunday you have to go back and just reply to a classmate's, okay? And you guys know how you've been doing that. Like, you've been doing well. Some people you've been forgetting the reply posts. It's not crazy, it's not like an epidemic, but just don't, because that's 5 points. So make sure, I know you get busy, but make sure you go back, make sure you do that reply post and get those points so you don't lose them. So that's going to be due Thursday. Now, starting Friday, your midterm opens, right? So now what I'm going to do, like, as you see, if you scroll down here, we don't see the post because we're in student mode, because it will be down here, but it's currently, turned off because I don't want people posting it like mad early. It's a test window, okay? So I'll put this back in professor mode for a second. I just like showing you in the student mode as much as possible when I can, because that shows you what it looks like on your end. So make sure you double check these assignment instructions, what I'm looking for. So we've already done the topic selection. You guys, if it's in that Dropbox, or if you're still confused what your topic is, there's a chart on the homepage. I'll show you before I finish this video for two reasons. One, to see yours, and two, see who you're going to reply to. Here's our instructions. I went through them in more detail in last week's video, so I'll leave it to you to go through at this point and read them again, but read through your instructions. This is your video requirement, okay? So you're doing a 3-minute video is what you're shooting for. Now, that's when you're actually speaking. So like if your video, when you start it, because like if you're going to use the 3x5 card, you kind of go up, you show the card on one side so I can see it. You show the card on the back side so I know there's nothing. And then you step away from your camera so you're not like leaning into the screen reading. I want you standing up and visible, like you're giving a speech in front of the class. When you say, hello, my name is whatever, like I'm going to start a clock on my end. And when you say thank you at the end, or whatever you say for your sign off, I'm going to stop the clock, and that's going to be your official time. We're looking for 3 minutes. Your safety zone is 2:45 to 3:15. And I think that's pretty generous. That's a 30-second swing. So you could be 15 seconds short, and you could be 15 seconds over, because we're looking for like a benchmark, hit that 3 minutes. I want you to, practice and really think about what you're saying and be intentional with it. But you do have some grace, some leeway. Outside of those thresholds, you're going to begin to lose points, okay? So then this just talks about your steps for preparing. I think I went over the last video. And then parts of the guidelines here. So look over those. Then the structure that I want you guys to use. I want you to use this thing. So you make your statement with your points, say the actual points, 1, 2, 3, right? And then you're going to have your first body point and state the point, and then you're going to have your second, state the point, third, state the point, and then you're going all the way through, like guideline, refutation of the opposing viewpoint, and conclusion. Within these points, you're going to make your point and you're going to present your reasoning and you're going to do an oral citation from the book. So here, if you're watching the video, you're going to get the freebie. Like, this is nothing serious. This just means Madison Monroe 2022 state, and then you say something. Okay? The idea is we're quoting Madison Monroe. We're not quoting anybody else because we're reading their book. And to say Madison Monroe 2022, we know that's for the book. And when you say that out loud, then we know that this is where borrowed information begins. So it's called oral citation. You do this in speeches. Otherwise, we don't know what's your ideas and what you borrowed. So that's what I have to do. Madison Monroe state or 2022 state that intent means da 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 da, and that goes into this da 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 da, right? And then these 3 points can be any points you want to make. And remember, you can use anything from the textbook that we've used so far, chapters 1 through 7, except for chapter 2. If you use something from chapter 2, you'll lose points because chapter 2, as interesting as it may be, is psychology. And we're making an ethical argument here, not a psychological argument. Okay. So you do your introduction, you make your 3 points, you refute the opposing viewpoint. So that just means, what would the other side say? And be fair about it. Don't try to cheat it. Don't do a straw man where you try to flip it on them and make it look ridiculous and over exaggerate what the point could be. Try to be fair and be well, people against this viewpoint might say blah blah blah, however, da da da, right? And it's just the idea. It's about, once you've made your individual points, what would somebody say to your overall point, and then how would you defend it? And then again, in the conclusion, you just restate your statement of, in conclusion, I believe, blah, blah, blah is ethical, unethical for the following 3 reasons. 1, blah, blah, blah. 2, blah, blah, blah. And 3, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. And then that'll end your time. This is the rubric that I'll be looking at when you're grading. As always, my biggest focus always goes on content, which is why I always laugh when students he doesn't care about content. He cares about formatting, this, that. And it's every assignment I have, the biggest bulk of your points are always going to just be on content. So if you hit the content, you're already starting halfway there. Then where do you get your points from? Organization, oral citations, time management, questions to your classmates and responses to the questions. So when you go in Friday and you post you have all day Friday from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. to post your video. If you don't post it on Friday, it's a 0. It's just like missing a test. You got to get it in Friday. By Saturday night at midnight, so you have the whole next day, you will go on and you will pose questions to 2 of your classmates. 1 to somebody that has the same topic as you, and 1 to somebody that has a different topic than you. Okay? And the idea there is to kind of look at what other people with your topic did and look at what somebody else who had something different did. Okay? So you watch their video and you reply with a question. The question, as you see in the instructions, it should be thoughtful. It should kind of provoke them in a chance, and provoke might be a strong word, but give them the opportunity to defend their position, challenge them a little bit. Don't just be oh, this is such a great thing. Oh, how did you think of your topic? Just be well, did you consider this? Or what would you say to that? Even if you agree with them, try to ask a question that would make them, put a thoughtful defense into it, because I'm going to grade you on the quality of your questions. And keep in mind, while you're challenging your classmates, please be academic about it. If you go kind of harsh or argumentative or fallacious and I don't like it, I might take some points off. Just be academic. There's a way to do it academically, okay? And then you're going to get graded on your response press for your questions as well, too. Because what I'm going to do Saturday, I'm going to go on and I'm going to watch all the videos and start scoring them. And then I'm going to type a question to you as well. I will tell you right now, though, if you go in and you just repeat a version of my question that I asked to somebody, you're going to lose points on that. You have to think of your own unique question, okay? Don't just paraphrase my thing, okay? So then you're going to get 10 points for asking good questions, and then 10 points for responding to the questions. And okay, so that's good. It's a fair little. If you do your content well, you get a few points out of each of these. You're going to finish up in good shape. Okay. So you want to make sure you're on a computer with a webcam and microphone. You want to start a new thread when you get here. You want to click the record, and you want to record a video and click add and click post. So basically, instead of adding like text, you're going to add a video. Now, this is pretty cool. So like when you click the discussion board, you see it'll say available, April 11th, 12 a.m. ends. So afterwards, that's it on Sunday night, right? So you're going to open your Dropbox or discussion board. Sorry, you're going to start a new thread, and you can hit record here and record a video. Now, it's not going to show it here because I think because I'm already, let's see what it does. Yeah, I can't access the video because I'm already on it. But where that was, you'll see your video pop up. So as long as you have a webcam and a microphone, all you have to do is click that. Go back out here. So you go here and you record video, and you hit new recording, and it'll start recording, right? And then when it stops, all you have to do is add it, and it'll post as a link. You'll see when in the link box, it'll just have a blue link, and you can post it. Okay, so then you click on it, and you watch it, and then you're going to, reply to other people's, right? So that's how you post that, okay? And so in case that wasn't clear, make sure you know the 3-day timeline. Friday, you post the video. Saturday, you post 2 questions, one to a classmate that has the same topic, one the classmate that has a different. And then Sunday, you have to go back on one more time and answer the questions from me and from your classmates. Now, I will say this. Other students being late is not your responsibility. So, if somebody asks you a question on Sunday and you've already answered people, and it's after you see it, you don't have to answer it. If you want to answer it, great. I will not penalize you for not answering a question that was posted after Saturday, if that makes sense. So 11:59 p.m. Saturday the 12th is the due date for questions. So if you go on the 13th and somebody posted one that morning and you saw it and you want to answer it, go for it, because that's going to help you, with your answering or whatever. But I don't expect you to stay up till midnight on Sunday waiting to see if somebody's going to answer you. Okay? Does that make sense? So once midnight on Saturday passes, you don't owe them anything. Go on. If you wake up first thing in the morning and you answer your my question and your other questions, and then you bail, so be it. But you do have to answer every question. So if somehow you get 6 questions, I'm sorry, it just woke out that way. But you have to answer each question that was posted to you before 11:59 p.m. Saturday night. But it's after that, I won't hold it against you, okay? So I know it seemed kind of like a lot, but it's going to be okay, I think. And if you have any questions, ask me beforehand. So if you want to work on your video now, you can record your video on any recording platform that you use that would make a link, like if you do your phone or camera or whatever, and then you could submit that file on Friday. So if you have it done, you wake up Friday morning, you do it, you can do it. If you don't have it and all you have is a webcam and you don't have other programs, it's fine. Anytime on Friday, you come in and you do the video recording through the Dropbox. The only technology you would need is a video, webcam and a microphone. And a lot of computers have that. If not, I recommend you get in contact with somebody at one of the colleges, your local library, whatever, because not having access to the technology will not be an excuse, because I've been mentioning this in enough time that you guys had plenty of time to prepare. We've been talking about it for weeks. So don't let that be your excuse, because it won't be a valid one, okay? We have to respect the efforts of the people who get this thing done on time, right? But yeah, you just go in and you upload it. Now, with the last thing I'll say about your video, it has to be unedited, like you're giving a speech in front of class. Okay, I'm not interested in watching a video that you've spent 4 weeks editing, cropping, and doing all this perfect stuff. However, since it is a video, and I don't know how many times you filmed it, film the video, watch it. If you don't like it, film it again. If you don't like it, film it again, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? But the one that you post has to be clear that it was a continuous video that you went through and wasn't stopped, pause, or edited. If you turn in something that's been stopped, pause, or edited, you're going to lose significant points because it's not about how perfectly can you edit, this thing and make it sound perfect. It's have you practiced enough that on the spot you can give a 3-minute argument on something with minimal notes. Okay. Then that's about what I have for you today. But I want to show you again what I had mentioned a minute ago on the homepage. If you've seen it, I'm sure, is the list of who has what topics. So if you're still unclear what your topic is, here it is. And then when you look at this, you can think, oh, okay, let me see. All right, this person has my topic, and this is an interesting one that's not my topic. And then you can look for these names and go see who's there. So you don't have to like scroll through every single video. Now, to help your classmates out in the instructions, it says put your topic as your title for your discussion post. Don't just put midterm or module 7, put your topic. So when somebody's scrolling through and looking, they can see what your topics are. Outside that, that's about everything I have for you guys today. So if you've got any questions, as always, feel free to reach out. If not, have a good week. Good luck on your midterms. I'm really excited to see how these things come out. I want you guys to take a deep breath, relax, do your best. Don't overthink it. It's not a professional speech. I'm not counting your ums. I don't care, how great you sound as long as the audio is clear, the video is clear, and you make your points. That's all I'm looking for. Okay. So if you need anything, reach out. If not, have a great week, and I'll see you all back here next Sunday. Have a good one.